Hello, my dear viewers. Welcome to my channel. I'm so glad to have you here today. In this video, we'll be discussing something very special, and I'm sure it will be valuable and insightful for all of you. It's a topic that connects deeply with our everyday lives, and I can't wait to dive into it with you. So make sure to watch the video till the end, and if you find it helpful, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're new here, don't hesitate to subscribe and become part of our growing community. Your feedback is always appreciated, so be sure to share your thoughts in the comments section after watching. Without further ado, let's get started. How to recreate yourself like a Stoic. The sun had barely risen over the ancient city of Athens, casting long shadows on the cobblestone streets. Marcus stood at the edge of the agora, the public marketplace that bustled with life. But for Marcus, the world outside seemed distant, as if encased in glass. His mind was focused inward, where a storm of confusion, ambition, and fear raged. Life had not been easy for Marcus. He had lost his way, consumed by the demands of others, by the noise of the world. His thoughts were often tangled in fear of failure, of judgment, of being insignificant. But something within him longed for change, a yearning for inner peace, strength, and clarity. He had heard of a way, a philosophy that could transform a person from the inside out. Stoicism. Inspired by the teachings of the Stoic philosophers like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, he embarked on a journey to recreate himself, not through outward success or wealth, but by transforming his inner world. This was a journey into the mind, into the core of what it means to be human. Step 1. Acceptance of the present moment. The first lesson Marcus learned was radical acceptance. He remembered the words of Epictetus, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Life is unpredictable, filled with obstacles and misfortune, but the Stoic understood that we have control over only one thing: our minds. Marcus began to confront the events in his life with this newfound perspective. When his business faced financial difficulties, he no longer spiraled into panic or frustration. Instead, he paused and asked himself, "Is this within my control?" If the answer was no, he let it go, releasing the weight from his shoulders. He learned to focus on what he could change: his attitude, his effort, and his thoughts. As days passed, Marcus started to notice a shift in his emotional landscape. Situations that would have once overwhelmed him now felt manageable. It wasn't that the problems had disappeared, rather his reaction to them had changed. By embracing the present moment, without clinging to what he could not control, he found peace in the storm. Step 2. Embrace discomfort and discipline. To recreate oneself like a Stoic, Marcus realized, is to willingly embrace discomfort. Life will always challenge us, but the Stoics teach us to welcome hardship, for it is the fire that forges strength. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Inspired by this, Marcus began to incorporate small, deliberate hardships into his daily life. He took cold showers to practice resilience against discomfort. He fasted intermittently, learning that he could control his urges rather than being controlled by them. He woke before dawn, setting aside time for quiet reflection and journaling. These practices were not about punishing himself, but about building mental toughness. Each challenge became a way to strengthen his willpower, to sharpen his focus. When life threw bigger challenges at him, an unexpected illness, the loss of a close friend, Marcus found that he was no longer unprepared. The discipline he had cultivated in small things allowed him to face greater suffering with grace and composure. He had learned that discomfort is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced as part of growth. Step 3. Detachment from external validation. In his previous life, Marcus had always sought validation from others. His self-worth was tied to the opinions of friends, colleagues, and society. But this constant pursuit of approval left him feeling hollow, always chasing after something that was out of his control. Seneca's teachings resonated deeply with him. You will find no one willing to share out his money, but to how many does each of us divide up his life? Marcus realized he had been living for the expectations of others rather than for his own values and purpose. It was time to reclaim his autonomy. He began practicing detachment from praise and criticism alike. Whether people admired or criticized him, Marcus trained himself to remain steady. This was not about becoming indifferent, but about recognizing that his worth was not determined by external forces. What mattered most was his own character, his integrity, and the alignment of his actions with his inner principles. As he let go of the need for approval, Marcus experienced a profound sense of freedom. He no longer lived in fear of judgment or rejection. He became the architect of his own identity, no longer shaped by the shifting winds of public opinion. Step 4. Practice of Memento Mori. Perhaps the most transformative Stoic practice Marcus embraced was the concept of Memento Mori, the reminder of death. Far from being morbid, this reflection on mortality was a source of deep wisdom. The Stoics taught that life is fleeting and fragile, and by remembering this truth, we are spurred to live